How to fix a quad bike.
Howdy and welcome back. So we took a chance by saying in the previous video that we hope we're going to have some footage of a quad bike, and yeah, we actually do have it in the archives. It just shows that these photos and videos that was taken past years or so, it's coming into good use at the moment. So you're going to see this basically quad bike that was bought as a non-runner. We're going to recondition it and obviously sell it. So first things first, we're obviously going to strip it like you can see over there. And this is basically the part that was damaged, or rather basically broken. You can see the gear teeth over there. So this was one of the issues where the vehicle now couldn't move forward, or it would just slip gears. It would drive or something, but maybe slip because there is obviously no teeth over there. So you don't want to drive a quad bike like that or anything, because obviously it can cause serious damage. So now we're obviously at the engineers, and we are taking the gear over there now so that we can see how we can fix this gear, what is the best solution, cost effective, and so on. And you're going to see in the video now how we stripped the gearbox, or rather the engine, because the engine and gearbox is all in one. And basically here we can see now and analyzing also the problem and if everything is working fine before we obviously reinstall everything and test it and take it from there. So luckily the gear can come off, and it's basically just one gear that needs to be replaced, and we obviously could just have a gear like this made machine for us. That was the case, and we can even do this machining ourselves. We know how to do this on a lathe and so on. We just need a lathe. But anyway, let's not go point here like we always do. The gearbox will obviously now be put together nicely with a gasket in between, and this is how most, I would say, two-stroke engines or four-stroke engines are designed. It's the gearbox, and you'd see some motorbikes also looks like this. The gearbox and the motor all in one. But you also have nice motorbikes that actually looks like a mini engine, where you have your same exact, pistons and spark plugs and so on. Actually very interesting. So once again, we are now obviously finding the problem now, this time electrical with the quad bike. And like we said in the previous video with the X5 restoration, we sold it as a combo deal. And the person who bought the X5 actually bought the quad bike as well. And yeah, they were extremely happy because they use the quad bike on the farm for cattle, or just to, if you have a farm, quad bike is the best thing to have on the farm. So obviously here we are now sorting the electric out, and the previous owners had a dog, and the dog just got a hold of the cables and things, and now we are just trying to obviously fix that up to make it look nice so that we can sell it. Obviously, there's many things in life that we fall in love with, especially with these vehicles and things, but obviously as business we need to keep putting food on the table and so on. That's why we have to let it go and sell it, even though it makes you sad and stuff like that. You enjoy the moment while it was fixed, but give it on to the next person. And obviously getting more footage for you guys, so you can definitely reward us, because we also give credit where it's due, and that would just be by liking, sharing, so that we can attract the right audience, because you won't see anywhere else these videos behind the scenes for free. Yeah, try until you succeed, eh? And that was the first thought. It's, you know, it's truly amazing. Or it's just a nice feeling when you buy a non-runner and you get it running for the first time. That feeling of excitement, enjoyment, is nothing compares to it, if I have to be honest. So this was just now the top of the head that we took off just to analyze now, and this is where the valves are. And what actually happened with this vehicle also, the valves was a little bent. So we obviously polished the piston as well, and you will see that. Hopefully we have some photos here, because like we say, this was in the past. Not sure if we take photos of everything like we do now with footage that we take on each job and so on. So you can see there clearly the piston has had its days, and it obviously needs to be replaced or polished or so on. You know, if it's not broken, just clean it, polish it. So these are the valves basically, and it will also be polished, and the valves basically bent as well, you know, and that can be because timing was out or something, and that's the only reason how you can bend the valves, because the piston will touch your valves. So with this quad bike, we actually bent it straight by just knocking it in the valve seat. This is not a good idea also, because you could maybe damage the seat or something like that where the valve sits now. But yeah, it's always best to have a spare head or something for scrap that you can do this with, you know. And why you knock it in the seat is because that will obviously make sure it seals tight, you know, and that is what you want, because that is how the engine works. There should be compression with no air being escaped. And that is why every valve has like a recess that you will see on the end of it, and that helps it for like a nice sealed tight. And that is obviously your compound grit or so on for the valves now, to also just smooth it out more. And what you do is you actually get like a stick with a kind of a suction thing on there that you put on top of the valve. Obviously your valve needs to be clean, and you just turn it back and forth with your hands. This polishes the seat and the valve so that it sits nice and tight. So yeah, the quad bike is fixed, and it actually has a reverse also. This is a beautiful investment, if I have to be honest. I definitely would love a quad bike again for the enjoyment. But definitely on to the next video. Luckily we could keep the narrative on mechanical still with us. Let's see what's next.
More how-to videos link in that bio.